G'day folks, and welcome to this restart of Ride of the Valkyries, the 6th Panzer Army attacks from Wacht and Rhein. If you've seen those previous two live videos, I did make some errors. The biggest mistake I made was not realizing that the Americans don't get the benefit from the west wall defensive hexes. I did query that during the video, but I wasn't sure and I couldn't find the rule, but Steve kindly pointed out that I was making that mistake, and that was really important for German artillery, particularly in that. Well, there's a pre-dawn artillery, but also the first turn as well, where they don't suffer that -4 modifier. So it would have resulted in a lot more hits on the Americans. But also I made some tactical errors as well. So reflecting on what I did, both with those rules errors and tactical errors, I'm rewinding, I've reset up, I've taken a couple of days, it's been a busy week of work, and back into it. So here we are. It is the pre-dawn turn. So what did I do wrong? What am I thinking about in terms of revised planning? I did send the 326 out here to this hex here. I don't know about that. I think it's because my thinking is there's no point gaining this hex if I'm not gaining the crossroads here. So I think I need the 326 to focus their efforts on this crossroad hex here. Move through the forest, take the crossroad, and then be able to move on. And I don't know what the best way to get this done, because this is the primary road. It runs into this hex here, occupied by the Americans, and then comes out to here. So yes, this is important, but this should really be the second priority after the crossroad hex. So I'm wondering if I need to put more pressure on this hex here. And that means maybe I shift the 326 down, these units down to the south through here, and then kind of hit the crossroads from these hexes. As I'm kind of explaining this, I'm kind of convincing myself that that's the way to do it. So I'll shift around to the sort of southern flank of this Holfen, and then shift southeast towards the crossroads and take the crossroads. So yes, I'll still focus on this because these guys are all in the vicinity to launch that pre-dawn ground assault on this hex. They can do that. You may notice, or you probably don't notice, but there is, I have really beefed up this hex as much as possible with breakdown units. That's still within the restrictions of setup, but basically I've tried to bring more forces to this hex with a view to eventually hitting this crossroads. 277th. Made some critical errors here because I didn't realize that this is a constricted terrain hex there. So I am going to be a bit more cautious with their planning and their attack. I'm still kind of in the mindset that I was last time I played this, of splitting them into a northern group and a southern group. So we have got the 989th Regiment up here. They might go north and help with the crossroads attack, whilst the 990 down here, they'll come south, and the 991st here will try and hit this point here. I think the 12th Volksgrenadier did very well. So nothing different in their approach to their attacks on the southern flank of 99th Division. I should also give a huge shout out to Steve from LBW Strategy Gaming and Claystone. Both of their channels are linked below. They've been doing some great videos, which is really helping. Very much appreciate their feedback. Also, if you're interested in GOSS, check out the Facebook group. It has been very helpful for feedback and links for videos and discussion on rules and things like that. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And this pre-dawn phase has a condensed sequence of play. Basically 3 steps: a German mode determination, German gunfire support phase and then the ground assault phase. So looking for my prepared assault markers because we're going to use a lot of these. We can start putting units in ground assault. Now this is going to be maneuver covering terrain. So I can move these units into this hex and attack that hex without giving the Americans the benefit of an adjacent defender. This is, I will point out, going to be, I hope, a slightly more cautious approach. Slightly more cautious. I'm not going to go charging all along the line as I did last time. So they will not be under prepared assault. They will not be under prepared assault. They will not move, in fact, this turn. They are going to use... They want to shift up here. They kind of want to shift around a bit, and they can't do that. Any units that move in this pre-dawn turn must attack. So we certainly want to continue with the 12th Volk's going to do. They're going to try to slip through. So all the Americans, you'll notice, are rotated 45 degrees to indicate that they are inactive. Many of these will soon become active. We might try and hit this point in the line here. I think we did that last turn. That looks like a constricted terrain hex as well. No, it's not. The constricted terrain ends right on the end. It is a vantage point. This unit can move into maneuver covering terrain. We'll move up. We'll move up. Need more of these prepared assault markers. So, a reminder, the infantry can move one hex. So a lot of these units won't be able to move this turn. That pretty much covers most of them. So we're looking for an attack here. Just to reiterate, the plan is to attack here and then swing around southeast, follow the west wall to this crossroads to really focus our efforts here. I'm not going to attack here until I have concentration of force because this is an ET2 hex, pretty densely stacked. And I don't want to activate the Americans too early either. An attack here, I think, and an attack here. So we'll try and kind of clear out this forest. The Heinzweidwald here, the vantage point, as a precursor to then moving on to the primary road here. This is, yeah, we'll see how things go. All right, so that is our mode determination. Again, to reiterate, not activated, keeping the 277th in the northern sector here, at 989th Regiment. Quiet for the time being. Now, we have German gunfire support. This is the pre-dawn turn sequence of play. Just double checking everything. German mode determination, German movement. Movement is to be conducted, sorry. So we'll slide in there. We will slide in there, slide in there, focus on here. Hopefully do some damage to the Americans here. They've got 1 battalion and AT. And then, likewise, down here. Without making a mess of these stacks, because I'm using my right hand, I'm left-handed with the tweezers usually. Slide down there. Now we have 1 battalion, 2 battalions already in there. We have 1 battalion, oh, that is Nebelwerfers, they don't want to move. What I might do is split that battalion. 1 going there, 1 heading north. Bring the armour in. I'm not going to have a great deal. I've recognised in advance. I'm not going to have a great deal of effect attacking into a forest, but yeah, it'll do. And then sliding through. I'm going to use my left hand. There we go. sliding through. Okay, how are we going to get these formations? What's the most powerful formation to get through? 2 battalions and some engineers. They won't be moving. Move them up. I've also, again, with the benefit of having played through 2 game days earlier, I have slightly reorganized my Nebelwerfers along the front to give them greater flexibility. So you can see, for example, these units here have a range of 3. So they can certainly strike my initial assault here, but they also not have to move to hit here. But I do need to keep in mind that the 150s are self-propelled. Steve suggested placing German motorized movement marker on those as a reminder. I'm trying to keep administrative counter density to a minimum, so I'm just going to try and remember. If I find myself forgetting, I'll take up that piece of advice. You can see I've already kind of accidentally moved some of those rockets because of the density stacking. In fact, I better double check that none of these have rockets under them. That looks like infantry, engineers, good. Infantry, yeah, all good. All right, so that is the German movement phase complete. We now get to the German combat phase. And we have a German offensive fire support segment and then the Allied defensive fire support. This is a slight break from the normal sequence of play. So the Germans get their artillery first, then the American response. Okay, so just a reminder, on this first pre-dawn surprise game turn, the Germans suffer a -4 dice roll modifier to their fire support missions. A maximum of 3 German artillery mission units may participate. The Allies get a -1 with a maximum of 2, and that's if they have an observing unit in a field work. Okay, so let's start the top up here. I want to throw everything we can onto here. In fact, I need to find my charts because I was cleaning up some stuff. So let me get my charts. Okay. So, fire support missions. Alrighty. So, what can we bring to bear against this hex here? We have got a maximum of 3 units, so let's go. They've only got a range of 3, so they'll be targeting here. No combat taking place, just gunfire support. Let's go 2. They're also rockets. They've got a slightly larger range. 5, 6, 7. All right, so look at it. 7 -4 for the game turn is 3, and modifiers. So they are observed. I don't think any of these guys are in a vantage point. So they are in. Woods. So that's a -1, so down to 2. Actually, they are in an ET2, so that's -2, so then to 2. They are mixed, so it's an AF, oh, they're not mixed, they're pure. Oh wait, that's a recon unit, which I think counts as mixed for this purpose, I think. So it might be down to 0. Unit density is -2, so it's down to -1, plus a die roll. It needs to be a 10 pretty much to have any effect. A 3. That's going to have no effect, as anticipated. Oh, sorry, what am I doing? I'm firing this hex. So it is, well, 3 won't have an effect anyway. That is, it's funny, I'm firing this hex and I started adding the modifiers for here. So 4 steps, no modifier. A 3 is not going to have any effect. I can assure you of that. Die rolls off camera. Okay. Let's try and target this hex. We have an observer here, not an vantage point. We have got, we'll send these 2 rockets in for a total of 8. So we have 8. They are, I believe this is an ET2. It's an improved position. Okay, so it's just -1. So looking at strength 8, -4 for the turn brings us down to 4. -1 for the terrain brings it down to 3. It is no AFVs here. We have, this looks like quite a dense hex. So 5 is going to add 1, +1 to 4. Strength 4 plus a die roll. So there is a chance of a hit here. 4 plus a 7 is an 11, which is in fact 1 hit. Okay. So first numerical hit will be taken as a step loss. And we will take that on one of these. So there you go. Not giving the Americans the benefit of that West War, they immediately inflict a step loss. We're already better than the past turn. And we will recall that step loss. I will find a way to recall that step loss using an administrative counter when I can find one. Or I'll use a notepad. All right. First blood to the Germans. It's a bit of a change from the first run through. Okay, so hit here, no artillery shift. 1, 2, 3, they can't be spotted, they're too far away, so these guys won't get any fire. Shifting down then to here. And we have got three, 6, and 7, 8. On this hex here. So strength of 8 for the artillery, -4 because it's a pre-dawn surprise turn is 4. They are in an ET2, so it's another -2 for a strength of 2. They are 3 steps, no armor, so no other modifiers. So looking at a strength of 2 plus a die roll of 0 is no effect. Okay. Let's continue our attacks. Actually, let's prioritize this one next. And we're going to send in these 2 Nebelwerfers. Now, I will point out as well, I'm not using it, but the Germans can use their ammunition points, I think it's called, for an intensive fire on this turn. I'm reluctant to do so, just until because I don't fully understand the implications of German ammunition point supply, so I'm reluctant to use those points when I don't really appreciate how quickly they'll rebuild them. So I'm not going to do that. So looking here at a strength of 8 on this hex. -4 for the turn, -2 is down to a strength of 2. No armor. Do we have an observer and a vantage point? We do not. So look at a strength of 2 plus a die roll gives us a 1. Total of 3 is no effect. That's frustrating. We've got a chance here. If the Germans can roll, I need roughly a 6 or a 7. So 50% chance, 40% chance of scoring a hit. Okay, let's throw these Nebelwerfers in to the next combat, which will be one more hex to the north. So we're looking at this target here, observed, no vantage point. So we've got a strength of 8, density of 4 in an ET2. So 8 minus 4 for the game turn is 4, minus the entrenchment, comes it down to a strength of 2, brings it down to a strength of 2, no other modifiers, so looking at a roll of 2, plus 5 is 7, which is just not enough. All right, next combat, next artillery, I've already hit up here, haven't I? So let's try this hex here. We do have a lot of artillery behind the lines that can reach. And there's some rocket artillery there as well. So we'll use those guys, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Strength of 7, pretty much the same factors as elsewhere. I'll just double check they are in an ET2. They are. So it is a strength of 2 plus a die roll. A 4 is a 6, which is no effect. So, look, to be anticipated really, this ineffective fire. We'll also throw off a salvo out here. This is an improved position, and we'll throw in a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 into here. Minus 4 for the turn is 4, minus 1 for the improved position is 3, plus a 0 is no effect. Okay, and I think we've hit everything we can hit. Look, we could probably hit something, we could probably observe here with some of this big artillery behind the lines. So it won't be strong. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Yes, they can reach. So 2, 4, 6, strength of 6, pure armor on game turn. In an ET2, he's going to be like a -1 modifier. Going to need a 9, and a 2 won't have any effect. All right, so largely ineffective German gunfire support, but they did score that 1 hit, which, where was it? Was it here? I think it was an important hex, right? Yeah, so there, we got the hit where we wanted the hit. So now it's we go straight to the German ground assault phase. And I guess there's only 3 to do. 1, 2, 3. So let's start at the top here. And we have got these 3 units attacking. Or these 3 stacks attacking, I should say, from the 326. So they are now active because they've been subject to a ground assault. The Germans are bringing a strength of, well, let's first find out what terrain they're in. Now, I think this is, this is rough. I think it's rough. So this should be line 2. Yeah, line 2. A note as well, all German combat gets a shift to the right. Oh wait, we've got to do American defensive fire first. Nearly missed that. All right, American, this is where they can score a lot of hits. So units that are inactive can still spot for fire support and conduct artillery fire support missions. So these are inactive, but they can still shoot. So what are we going to? We're going to try and break up these attacks. So let's try and target this hex here, and we'll go 3, 4, 5, 8. Yeah, let's use those guys. Okay, so strength. Oh, we can't do that. We can only use 2 American units. If the observer is in a fieldwork, a maximum of 2. Yeah, okay, so we can use 3, 4, 5. We'll use them together. 5 on here. -1 for the turn is a strength of 4. They are under prepared assault, so they don't get the benefit of terrain. So it is a strength of 4. The observer is in a vantage point. Yep, they're in a vantage point. In fact, what we'll do, yeah, 0 is an advantage point, so strength of 4 plus a die roll. So you can see how the American artillery does get that a slight advantage on this first turn. So 4. Oh wait, let's double check everything. Yes, it's going to be +1 for density. So 5 steps, 4.5 rounded up to 5. So strength of, what did I say? Strength of 5, -1 for the turn is 4, +1 for density is 5. No armor in the hex. +1 for the vantage point is 6, plus a die roll of 9. Of course, the Americans roll a 9, plus 6 is 15, which is 2 hits. Look, I'm going to take the step losses. So we're going to go 1, and then I must take a PR check, I think. Yep, conduct a PR check, which passes. They can remain in the hex. I can apply steps as fatigue. Okay, so we'll apply a fatigue hit to those guys, enabling them to remain in the attack. Ouch. Okay, next we'll have these guys observing for an attack here. 3.5 round up to 4 doesn't apply any density stacking. We'll have these 2 pieces fire for strength of 5. -1 for the turn is 4. On a vantage point is 5, plus a die roll of 5 is 10, which is 1 hit, which is just going to hit that infantry and no further effect. Okay, next combat down here, we have, actually that can't be observed, so we'll move. I think I made the same mistake last time with this short range artillery not being able to shoot. So let's try. Oh wait, they can't be observed. I think I made this mistake as well last time. They can't be observed because they're in maneuver covering terrain. And so this artillery fire that I did earlier, they're in maneuver covering terrain and the Germans can't actually see them because they're not under a prepared assault marker. So I made the same mistake last time, but I've corrected it now. Those Americans do not suffer that step loss, so the Germans did not do any damage with their artillery. And they can't see them either, so it's converse. So shifting along, let's try and target this unit here with three, 4, 5, 6. So look at a 6, -1 is 5. Vantage point. Yep, these guys will observe here. 5 +1 is 6. Plus a die roll of 5 is an 11, which is a step loss. They have taken a hit. And they'll also observe into this hex here because they're in improved position field work. So we will get a further 3, 4, 5, 6. -1 for the game turn, +1 for the vantage point is 6. Double check that they don't have any. Yep, this is a densely stacked hex, so 6 goes up to 7, plus a die roll of 9 is 16. That's 2 hits. Okay, so that's going to cause 1 step loss, and then a PRC check is passed. They can take a second hit as a fatigue. Ouch. So the Germans roll badly on their artillery. The Americans counter with some really nice rolls. Okay, and they're continuing. We will try and break this up. So we are not on a vantage point. We'll observe into here and we'll fire. I guess we'll go 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 minus 1 for the game turn is 5. We have a densely stacked hex. That's actually 7. So 5 plus 2 is 7. 7 plus a die roll is 8. So 15 is 2 hits. So PRC check is passed. So it's 1 hit, and another fatigue. So there's the fatigue, there's the step loss, and they hold their ground so they can participate in the assault. And I think that's everything in range. Oh wait, we do have some more artillery here. So we've got a 3 there. That's all I can reach with. Oh wait, they can't reach either. Look, I'll do the die roll first to see if it's anything decent. It's an 8, so it is something decent. So it'll be 3 targeting this hex here. So 3 AFE mix, so -2 down to 1. -1 for the game turn is 0. Plus 8 is going to be an artillery shift. On that hex. Okay, so yeah, American gunfire support much more effective. Now we can get to combat, and we're going to target this hex here with these 3 stacks. So we have got 3. They're halved, so it's 1.5, 2.5, 3, 4, 5.5, 10.5 on 8, which is just 1 to 1 in rough. It's either rough or a village, which is the same line. So line 2, 1 to 1. Line 2, 1 to 1. Now the Germans get 1 shift to the right. They are in PA mode, so another shift to the right. We have engineers, so let's work out the modifications here. So we have an ET2, then we have engineers here. So in effect, it's a net. So that's 2 shifts to the left of the defender, -1 for the engineers, is 1 shift to the left for the defender. The defenders, are they in a vantage point hex here? Yes, they are. So that's another column shift to the left. They are, what else? Adjacent hex with a friendly unit? No. And these don't count because they're in maneuver covering terrain. So it's a net, well, back to 1 to 1. So with all those column shifts. Now we have to look at dice roll modifiers. So no combat reserve, regimental integrity bonuses. So the Germans can bring, there's a 5, there's a 5, there's a 5, so they'll bring a 5. The Americans have got 7 on defense here. So we've got 5 German on attack, 7 American on defense. That's a net +10 for the, or -10 rather, for the Americans. For proficiency rating, sorry, that was proficiency, not regimental integrity. For regimental integrity, the Americans have nothing. The Germans have got, they're 326, they've got 751, No, what have we done here? They're all broken up. So 751, 753, and 752. 3 different formations. So no regimental integrity bonus. That's annoying. Where's the rest of their formations? Okay, what about armor anti-tank? Well, there's no German armor. There's a fair bit of anti-tank, but no armor. So it's a net -10, so it's not looking good for this German attack. Greens are 10s. This is just off camera. If I move that there, you might be able to catch. Bit of the die roll. Greens are 10s. We're looking at -10, so 66 is going to be a proficiency rating check for the Americans. And on the defense, a 74 is going to be 1 mandatory hit for the Germans, and they will use the unit, or a unit that use their proficiency rating. Okay, so 1 hit for the Germans, a PRC check for the Americans, passed, no effect. Oh wait, and there's also, sorry, it's 1 PRC check for the Germans as well, which they pass. First combat ends without much happening. Surprise. Okay, shifting along now all the way down to here, and this, well, I was going to say it might be better, but the Germans have already taken some losses. We have got 6, 7, 8, they're halved, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 on 7. So it's 3-2. They're in a forest, which is line 3. So 3-2, line 3. It's not a good start. They get 1 to the right because of the game turn, 1 to the right because they're in PA mode. The Americans are in defensive works, and the Germans haven't brought any engineers with them. Bad idea, guys. Because this ET2 will shift that back 2 to the left. Is that a vantage point? It is a vantage point, which is another shift to the left. And now, dice roll modifiers. Regimental integrity bonus. This is where the Germans might get something. So 2 from the 991st is +10. And 2 from the 990th is +20 for regimental integrity. Now the Americans, now these are, now hold on a sec. That is clear terrain, so they have an adjacent defender here for a +5. So it's now a net +15. For proficiency ratings, the Germans are bringing a 5, I think, for their infantry. 13.7.6. Does it have to be? I'm just, whatever unit. Well, yeah, we'll use that, I think, because that unit has to take the hit. So we'll use a 5 against a 7, which is a net -10. So it's down to net +5. And armor. Well, the Germans have brought some tanks now with a strength of 2. The Americans have no anti-tank, so it is strength of 2, but it is in an ET2, which subtracts 2 from the armor, which has 0 net effect. So look at a dice roll of +5. Okay. Die roll of +5. A roll of 57 is 62, which is a proficiency rating check for the Americans. And a 51, that's going to be a mandatory hit and a proficiency rating check for the Germans. So, a mandatory hit, we'll cause it on this unit here that use their PRC. Oh, it's an artillery shift as well. So one moment, it should be a shift to the left again. Same result, and it's a 1 discretionary, 1 mandatory for the Germans. So there's their 1 mandatory. Their 1 discretionary, I think they'll take as a step loss as well. But where? I think this unit here, they'll just take their second step. I haven't been tracking German step losses. How many have there been? There's been a lot. It's that administration that I keep forgetting about. Like, I'll come back and I'll do that in a moment. I'll do that later on. And then the PRC check for the Americans, which they pass. All right, last combat down here. This is where I did have success on the first turn. Last time I played through this. So, I can remove these now. Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 attacking the Americans here with just their strength of 7 in an ET2. And we have got a strength of 13, 15, 24, 30, 33, 33, 37, 38 on 7. 38 on 7. 38 divided by 7 is 5 to 1. So we'll get 5 to 1 in a forest. So it's looking like a good column, same as last time. 5 to 1. Now the attackers, game turn, surprise, they're in PA mode. We have engineers here, we've got engineers here, which cancels out the ET2. The defenders are not in a vantage point. They have no other benefits. So dice roll modifiers, regimental integrity bonus. This is maneuver covering terrain, which covers the attackers as they advance. Oh, sorry, there is an adjacent defender, so they get a +5. But the attackers get, so 248. We've got 10. 89th, we've got, no, they're not adjacent. So just a +10 for the Germans. For proficiency rating, they have got we could bring this for Fusiliers here, a 7 against a 7, which is a net 0. So these guys have to take the first step loss. Armour, the Americans haven't brought, oh, they do, they've got a tank there. So we've got a 3 against no anti-tank. -2 is 1, so that's going to be +10 for the Germans. So we're looking at a net +25. A roll of 76 is going to give them 101, which is going to be 3 and 2. So 2 mandatory losses. All right, so they'll take 1, and that is maximum step loss. All right, but there are still 3 discretionary hits to resolve. Making a note of these losses as they happen. At least the US losses. I need to keep track of the Germans in just a moment. So now we ignore the other mandatory hit now because they've reached max step loss. But now there's 3 discretionary hits to resolve, and I think they want to retreat from there. Previously, I've held that position last turn, but now they're going to retreat. And this is going to be tricky because they're kind of surrounded by sort of Germans. There is a way out. I just don't know. This is going to require me to consult the rulebook. So they want to resolve by retreat. Convert discretionary hits to voluntarily convert. Effective side must pass. Yeah, going to need to read the rulebook closely here, sorry. So, we've got discretionary hits. For each forts and participating units in a fort, ignore them. There's not a fort there. They're going to attempt to conduct a full retreat. 13.10.4.c. They must retreat the maximum distance. They can't stop. They must retreat 1 hex for each discretionary hit. Retreat procedures. They want to, first of all, retreat into a path not adjacent to a German unit. There isn't such a path. Is it closer to their superior headquarters? So here's their headquarters here. So they want to use this path here. So this is the path they want to go. However, the retreats that enters a non-maneuver covering, well, this is actually a maneuver covering terrain hex. So they don't have to take the step loss. If this was not maneuver covering terrain, they would take a step loss. So they can actually go through the forest. So 1, 2, and then they'll follow that trail 3. Okay, so they kind of got out of that pretty luckily. Just double checking that. A full retreat. Up to the maximum step loss limit. The remaining discretionary hits, they convert all... blah, blah, blah. Sorry, just reading the rules again. The only player must retreat. If they can't retreat, then that applies. If the units can retreat at least 1 hex, but are unable to retreat, no, so they can retreat, so that doesn't apply. I think I've done that legally. I think that's okay. So now the Germans can advance. All participating attack designated units can advance. Advance distance. League units in PA mode can advance 2 hexes. Oh, sorry, I haven't rolled for the Americans yet. 74 plus 25 is going to be off the charts. Yep, so no effect on the Germans. So, in advance of 2 hexes, the advance path, leg units advance across the river, blah, blah, blah. Advancing units must stop if they advance into a hex adjacent to an ET. Okay, so we have to basically advance there and then stop. And what happens to that ET? Doesn't happen very often. I need to check the rules on improved positions. So, improvement effects, procedure, blah, blah, blah. Remove a fieldwork marker if it is not occupied by friendly units. If friendly units that occupied it were retreated due to a ground assault. Okay. That clarifies it. It's removed. So, yeah. That's the German combat phase complete. That is the end of the pre-dawn turn. But before I head into game turn 1, I need to run through and check German losses because I haven't been keeping track of that. So I need to go through and figure out how many losses they've suffered and track that, because in this coming game turn, I'll need to convert those So let's see what's active. So they are active because they've been subject to a ground assault. They are active. They got out of there pretty luckily. They're active. They're not, I don't think. Units activate when they are subject to a ground assault or adjacent to a German unit that conducts a ground assault. So they are active as well, and they are active. And they are active because they are adjacent to the Germans that conducted a ground assault. Okay. They are active because they were next to the Germans that conducted a ground assault as well. Okay, so I will stop the recording here, go and check all those German losses, fix up all the artillery so I know who can fire and who hasn't fired for next turn. And that way, when I start this next turn, I will know how many infantry replacements. I'm guessing they probably just have enough for one infantry replacement. If they're well, lucky and unlucky, because it means that they've suffered some pretty heavy losses, but it also means they've got enough to rebuild one quickly and early on. Okay. So I guess as to be expected, not much German artillery effectiveness. The one anticipated ground assault was here, and it was successful, but the Americans managed to retreat through this maneuver covering terrain. So they could retreat here and then follow the path and get out of there with only one step loss, which they've got to be pretty happy with, because now they're on this wonderful hex blocking the primary road, which is really frustrating for the Germans. The Germans would have really liked to... I might double check those rules, make sure I played it through correctly, but yeah, I'll stop here. Thanks everyone.